so far, the only person I know who's gotten suspended is myself. And they didn't even call me in. They didn't talk to me anything. What they did was they called my parents and everything, and me and my mom traded phones, you know. So like that was a while back ago, like a month ago before we traded phones. So all her contact information was in my new cell phone. So they call me and they're like, oh, is this Martin or what? I'm like, yeah, blah blah blah. And they're like, oh, you're suspended. You're suspended, by the way. And I asked for like how long, and they're like 5 days. And then like 5 days, and I'm like, okay, cool. You know, hang up the phone, put it in my pocket, and look back at everyone and be like, I got suspended. And everyone's just like, yeah, like, cause I didn't care, like nothing could bring me down at the moment, you know. And then my sister calls and she's all like, you know, you got suspended. I'm like, yeah. They told me 5 days, and then they told me 5 days, and then they told my sister 3 days. So right now I'm trying to find out how many days I'm suspended. But they never pulled me into the office. They never did anything. You know, they never told me. They never gave exact reasons why I got suspended. They got me more than anything because I was the first one to walk out. Because I started yelling out, walk out of my classrooms and everything. And like no one followed me or anything at first until I got to the gate. There was at least like 20 people, and like so I started thanking them, you know, from the bottom of my heart. I started thanking them because it was really like motivational for me that like even though it was only 20 people, these 20 people want to fight for their education. And we start walking and we see the brown beret, and I wave my hand to say hi and everything, and wave back. And I look back just for an instant just to look at the school, and I see hordes of people, like 100 people at least, leaving Pueblo. And it was like, to me, like the only thing that came to mind was like, damn. Like I had nothing else to express it. I was just like, damn. And then we start walking, and then that's when we finally meet up with these guys. And it was like we united and stuff, it was tight. And we start walking a little bit down the road, we're about to reach 10. And then someone tells me, wait up. Like I think it was my friend or something. And then we see like 50 more people walking out of the gate. It was like, I was so pumped up. I was like, because I was so worried the night before, I couldn't get any sleep. I was so nervous about the walkout. Like, not like, I wasn't worried about me getting suspended or anything. That didn't matter to me because I knew what I was fighting for. The thing that worried me was like if no one walked out, you know, if no one. And at first I thought it was going to be like that because I put on my backpack. I was looking at the time, I put on my backpack. And like, have any of you guys ever seen Walkout? The movie? I felt like, it was like that. Like, I was like, damn, I was like, this is a sequel. This is like the sequel because I put on my backpack. And then I start walking towards the class, like the door to get out of class. And my Spanish lit teacher, well, now she teaches English because of all the problems, but my Spanish lit teacher, she's all telling me, where are you going? She didn't know anything about the walkout. I'm like, miss, I'm walking out. And she's like, okay. And then I looked back at my class, and I was just like, are you guys gonna walk out? Or what? And they just all put their heads down. And then I'm just like, fine, you know, whatever. You know, if they don't want to do it, I'll do it by myself. I told them, I'm like, fine, I'll be the only one to walk out if that's what it takes. And I get out of my classroom and I start banging on doors, opening doors, yelling, walk out. And then when I get to the second floor, when I finally get to the second floor, all I hear is my classmates, my peers yelling, hey Juan, we got your back, we'll help you. And that's when I popped into like leader mode. I'm all like, run to the portables, run to the tech building, go to the science department, bang on the doors and all this. And then me and that group of 20 kids that I had, we start going downstairs, and then the principal, she starts saying like, I advise all you guys go back to your classrooms. If you guys really cared about your education, you guys wouldn't walk out, you guys wouldn't do anything, you guys would stay here at school. And I started telling the students, don't listen to her because they're gonna try to drain you with all these punishments, but they can't touch you. If they even have their hands on you, you can report them. And that's when the students they were thinking about it, and then they're like, they agreed with me and started following me out. And the principal kept talking, and I'm all like, don't listen to her. And then she yelled at me. She's all like, Juan, you gotta be quiet. I'm all like, and then me, like, I don't know, something like a little kid mode popped into my head. I was like, no, like that resistance in me. And we started walking down, and then I don't know, it's like, and then when we met up with them, and then we started marching and stuff, like, we would have to wait, like, stopping every little bit of it, because like there would be slow people walking. You know, people are still getting their legs are so shaky. But when we were walking, like, I felt so empowered. Like, I felt like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Cesar Chavez, Jorge Gonzalez, Pancho Villas, Zapata, you know, all them, you know, all the revolutionary leaders, even like, and Gandhi. I felt like they were just watching over us upon the heavens, and that just motivated me, just drove me more to like keep walking and walking, yelling and giving chants, you know. And like when we met up with the other groups, like it fascinated me so much how passionate these other kids were also for the program, because Toya had like 75 students, and they were dreading so much. I was suspended, and they still did it. And at Tucson High, like we met with Toya, we met them up at 22nd and 10th. And that's where we met up, and we started walking down 22nd. We stopped at this park to meet up at Tucson High, and the police were blocking out the roads so they control traffic, and we're walking. And I was in the head of the group. And once we met Tucson High, I saw my friend Carlos, and I saw him. The first thing I did was hug him, and I'm all like, and we're talking, we're like, we did it, you know, we got at least 400 students to walk out, and we start walking, and that's when we turned to park, and we were under this underpath, the road, you know, and at first, like, we're all bunched up on the road, so it doesn't look that big, but once we're in that underpath, they need to like thin out, you know, so we're like already like towards the end of the underpath, and you can still see people from all the way in the back. It was just like to my experience, it was like, it's like something you can't catch from a movie, or something you can't read in a book. It's something you can only experience through your actions. So yeah, then we walked to 1010. And then it made me realize a lot of things, like a lot of people had to, like a lot of the security, like had to keep the protesters out, you know, but they support it. It's also, a lot of people get angry at security and all this, you know, cops. But you shouldn't get angry for them, because, you know, they also have a family to support. They have to do to survive. And when people get like frustrated with police and like security or like teachers, you have to realize that they're doing their job, and you can't really get angry for them, because they also have they also do what's necessary to survive, as we do as well for our education. For me, my first walkout was back in 2006 when the whole immigration reforms went up to the roof and stuff. That was my first walkout. That's when I started getting more involved in activism. But this walkout, I had butterflies, but it wasn't like, it wasn't like the last resort for us. It was like, it's the beginning, you know. My heart knew, like, it was the right thing to do, you know. Like, me, Hishilo Pochli, like, just popped out of me, you know, my will. And popped out, and so it just made me, like, it just made me want to do it even more.
I hear people who may not understand the history of this community say that, oh, they're young, they are rebels, this is fun for them, and they feel like big shots. What would you say to them?
Like every generation period to us, we always look at them differently, because, you know, the baby boomers, you know, the generation that grew up in the 60s, they were looked upon as radical, as rebels, but, you know, and like each generation has a different perspective towards the next, and the generation that looks upon us, like, it seems like they forgot how it was to be activists, how to be civil rights leaders, how to be you know, human beings, being a citizen, you know, because your duty as a citizen is to do what's right. And it seems like they have lost that through all the commotion that's been going on. And it's not that we're trying to be like, this is fun for us. It's not we're trying to say we're trying to be rebels. The example we're trying to put is that we're trying to open eyes up to get people back into the attitude of being activists, doing what's right. Because if the next generation stops doing that, it's just gonna be gone, you know. And it's in our human nature to stand up against what we think is wrong, what oppresses us. This generation, like, we know what's wrong, we know what's right, but only a handful of us actually care. Because you look at the students nowadays, they don't really care. They're so apathetic about everything, and it's like it's really sad to see that, you know. It's really sad to see how kids don't care, but it's not. It's the surroundings they grew up around, you know. It's their parents, it's their grandparents, it's their friends, you know. And today's society, too many people care about what others think, you know. A lot of people didn't walk out because they were afraid of what their friends will say, like, oh, that's not cool. You know, walking out's not cool, or you're a thug for doing that, or you're idiotic, you don't even know what you're fighting for. And that's where the generation before us comes in hand and saying that we don't know how to do anything, you know. But we're fighting for what is right. It's not like media always portrays us as being like doing what's wrong, doing something. It's not. We're not doing what's wrong. We're trying to improve education for the next generation to be taught the right things, not a bunch of false information that's in textbooks. But like, some people might say we're wasting our time, but honestly, I feel I wasted my time more in public schooling than being here. Because here, I actually learned, like, my sister invited me yesterday, because she comes to U of A. She's a U of A student. And she invited me to go to one of her physiology classes and like sociology classes. And I went, and I learned more in those two classes that I have learned in a whole semester in one of my normal classes in public schooling at Pueblo. So it's not us wasting our times. Maybe in their eyes it's wasting our time, but like the concerns of like at school, we have time after school to make it work. There's programs to do work after school. There's all this stuff the teachers can help us with, because most of the teachers do agree that we're right. You know, a lot of the teachers at Wakefield and at Pueblo agree that what we're doing is right, and they were actually really upset for us getting suspended. And I say Wakefield because I actually volunteer there. Like, as a coach, when I have my free time and everything, I volunteer there because I like working with younger kids all the time. And I talk to every single teacher there all the time, and they all support, well, more or less support ethnic studies. So, like, if they see this on the news, they're gonna be like, they're gonna go talk to the principal, of course, and be like, they didn't waste their time. They're still getting an education. It just wasn't your education that we're getting taught. All of us are Spaniards, Irish, African, you know? And where's that history, you know? Because I haven't learned that history yet. Because I'm Irish, Mexican American, and I haven't learned my Irish side. But through Chicano studies, it helps me relate, because before, I didn't know that there was Irish mercenaries or immigrants who immigrated with the Spanish over here. And that helped me find a little bit of myself as well. It helped me open up my eyes to different perspectives of history. Just not one-sided history like they teach us in the textbook.